she said, snatching the paper off his desk. "Not this house again." She tore it down the middle before he could speak. The room went silent. Every crayon stopped moving. Malik didn't cry. He didn't argue. He just said, "That's okay." I remember what it looks like. 26 kids stared at their desks like the carpet had suddenly become fascinating. Nobody knew why an 8-year-old had drawn the exact same house, in the exact same colors, every single day since September. Nobody knew what that house had already survived, and nobody, least of all the teacher standing over his desk with 2 torn halves of paper in her hand, knew that in 5 days, that house and that drawing would be the reason her name stopped meaning teacher at all. So before you judge whether a piece of paper matters, ask yourself, what would you draw every day if it was the only way you had left to remember someone? Let's take you back. 6 weeks earlier, room 114 smelled like pencil shavings and orange peel. Malik sat in the back corner, same seat every day, a cigar box of stub-worn colored pencils open in front of him. Blue for the shutters, brown for the porch steps, the third one always drawn slightly crooked, because it always had been. Mrs. Halbrook ran the art period like a factory line, fast, loud, allergic to anything that slowed her down. She called free choice drawing wasted minutes and told the class, more than once, that talent looked like obedience. She'd already binned 2 other students' work that month for not following the prompt. The office had 3 complaints sitting in a folder nobody opened. Malik kept drawing his house anyway, quiet, steady, like it was a promise he'd made to somebody. By the 4th week, Mrs. Halbrook had a nickname for him under her breath, the repeat kid. She rolled her eyes when he reached for his pencil box. She sighed, loud enough for the room to hear, "Same house, Malik. Always the same house." He never explained. Explaining wasn't for people who mocked you first and asked questions never. Then came the Tuesday she decided a warning wasn't enough. She walked over, lifted the drawing off his desk while the glue on his crooked porch step was still wet, and ripped it in half in front of everyone. Not accidentally, slowly. Like she wanted him to watch, draw something real, she said. And in the front row, a girl named Deja put her hand over her mouth and didn't say a word, because saying a word in that classroom had never once helped anybody. But what Mrs. Halbrook didn't know was whose house that was. It belonged to his grandfather, a man named Otis Reeves, who in 1968 had been refused a home loan by 4 different banks in town, not because his credit was bad, but because of the address he wanted to build on. So he built it anyway, board by board, on weekends, for 3 years, with his own hands and the help of 2 neighbors who believed him when the banks wouldn't. That house was still standing. Malik's mother had grown up in it. His grandfather had died in April. And every pencil stroke Malik made was the only way an 8-year-old knew how to keep something from disappearing. The following Monday, a new face walked into room 114, Mr. Alavi, subbing while Mrs. Halbrook attended a training. He noticed the taped-together drawing tucked in Malik's folder before he noticed anything else. He asked one question nobody else had thought to ask in 6 weeks. "Why do you always draw this house?" Malik told him everything, quietly, at the reading table, while the rest of the class colored maps of the solar system. Mr. Alavi didn't say much back. He just took a photo of the drawing, with Malik's permission, and made one phone call that evening to a local preservation society he used to volunteer for. 3 days later, the whole school gathered in the gym for an assembly nobody had explained in advance. Mrs. Halbrook stood near the back, arms crossed, expecting nothing but another schedule announcement. Then the projector lit up, and on the screen was Malik's house. Not the torn drawing, the real one, fully restored blueprints, funded overnight by the Preservation Society, alongside a black and white photograph of Otis Reeves standing on that same crooked porch step in 1971. The society's director stood at the microphone and said the house was being placed on the city's historic register, the first home built by a black tradesman on that street to receive the designation, and that a scholarship in Otis Reeves's name would fund young architects for the next 20 years. Malik's drawing was the first image on the fundraising page. It had already raised $11,000 in 72 hours. Mrs. Halbrook's face went the color of the paper she'd torn. Somebody in the crowd had recorded the whole assembly. By that night, it had 90,000 views. By the weekend, 400,000, comment sections filling with the same sentence over and over. They showed the torn drawing next to the finished blueprint. The district placed Mrs. Halbrook on leave within 72 hours. 2 more families came forward with their own stories about her classroom. The teachers' union couldn't protect what 40,000 witnesses had already seen. By the following month, she had resigned rather than face the hearing, and the district issued a new classroom conduct policy that now bears, unofficially, the name of a torn piece of paper. 10 years later, Malik walked across a stage in a cap and gown, architecture degree in hand, and stood for a photo on the porch of his grandfather's house, restored, registered, his. He teaches a free after-school drawing class now, every Tuesday, no prompts required. He tells the kids only one rule: draw the thing you're afraid of forgetting. Nobody in that room has ever had their paper taken away. If a torn piece of paper could end a teaching career and start a scholarship, imagine what else we're tearing up without asking why first. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and tell me in the comments, what's the same house you'd never stop drawing? Here's what really gets me about this one. It's never the drawing. It's the 6 weeks nobody asked. Tell me honestly, has there ever been a moment you stayed quiet when a kid needed you to ask one simple question?